I'm going to tell you something that your doctor knows but probably never said to you directly. Loneliness after 60 is more dangerous to your health than most of the things you worry about. More dangerous than the cholesterol you track. More dangerous than many of the numbers on the papers they hand you after your checkup. The research is real, and the elders knew it before the research existed. An isolated person declines faster. Their body weakens faster. Their mind dims faster. Their will to live, that invisible force that no machine can measure but every doctor has watched flicker and fade, their will to live shrinks when there is no one who expects them at the table. And the opposite is also true. The person with real friendship in their life, real connection, real faces that light up when they walk in, that person's body fights harder. Their mind stays sharper. Their heart, in every sense of the word, keeps beating with purpose. Friendship after 60 is not a luxury. It is not a nice thing to have if you can manage it. It is medicine. It is the medicine. And today I am going to break down why it matters more now than it ever did in your life, why it is harder to keep now than it ever was, and what you must do about it before the isolation that is creeping toward every person your age reaches your door. Let me tell you why friendship matters more after 60 than it did at 30. At 30, your life was full of automatic connection. You did not have to build it. It was delivered to you by your circumstances. The job put people next to you 40 hours a week. The children connected you to other parents. The busyness of life threw human beings into your path every single day, whether you wanted them or not. You were never truly alone at 30, because the structure of your life made aloneness almost impossible. You had connection the way a fish has water. It was everywhere. So you never learned to value it. You may have even craved the opposite. You dreamed of quiet, of solitude, of a day when nobody needed anything from you. Connection was so abundant that you treated it like air. And nobody thanks the air. Then the structure came down. The job ended and took 40 hours of human contact with it. The children grew and took their world of parents and teachers and games with them. The neighborhood changed. The old faces moved or passed, and the connection that used to be delivered to your door every morning stopped arriving. Not all at once, gradually. So gradually, you didn't notice the shrinking. One year there were 20 people in your regular life, then 12, then 7, then 3. And you told yourself this was normal. This is what happens. People drift. Life gets quiet. And it is normal, in the sense that it happens to almost everyone. But normal does not mean harmless. The water drained out of the tank so slowly that the fish didn't notice until breathing got hard. And for many of you watching this, breathing has gotten hard. The days are too quiet. The phone is too still. The week can pass without a single conversation that goes deeper than the weather with the cashier. And your body is registering that absence as a threat, because that is exactly what it is. My grandmother said that people are like coals in a fire. A coal that stays in the pile with the other coals stays hot for hours. Pull one coal out and set it apart, alone, on the stone, and watch what happens. It dims, it cools, it goes gray. Not because the coal is weak, because coals were never designed to burn alone. The heat is a shared project. Every coal keeps the others hot. And a person, she said, is exactly the same. You were designed to burn in a pile. Your warmth, your energy, your aliveness is a shared project with the people around you. Set apart, alone, on the cold stone of an empty house, the strongest person dims. It is not weakness. It is design. And the person who understands the design stops being ashamed of needing people and starts doing something about it. I want to tell you about two men I knew because they show you both roads. Both widowed the same year, both around 70, both healthy at the time, similar lives, similar losses. The first man closed his door. Not dramatically, he just stopped accepting invitations. Too tired, not up for it. Maybe next time. And people tried for a while. They called, they knocked. But every no makes the next invitation less likely, and within 2 years, the invitations stopped. And the man sat in his house with his television and his routines, and his world shrank to the size of his rooms, and his health followed his world, down. His walking slowed, his words slowed. His doctor found new problems every visit, and none of them had a clear cause, and all of them, I believe to this day, had the same cause. The coal was alone on the stone, and it was going gray exactly the way my grandmother described. The second man did something that looked small. He started going to breakfast. That was all. One diner, every morning, same booth, same time. He didn't go to make friends. He went because the silence of his kitchen after his wife passed was unbearable, and the noise of the diner helped him eat. But repetition did what repetition does. The waitress learned his name. The regulars learned his face. The man at the counter started saving him the newspaper. Within a year, that diner was a family. When he got sick one winter and missed 4 days, 3 separate people from that diner knocked on his door to check on him. 3 people. The first man could have missed 3 months, and no one would have knocked. Same loss, same age, same town. One man's coal went gray on the stone. The other man put his coal back in a pile, one breakfast at a time. And the last time I saw him, he was past 80, sharp as a blade, laughing at that counter with people who would have carried him on their backs if he needed it. That is not luck. That is design honored. The fire keeps what stays in the fire. Before I share the next teaching, I need to tell you something. I am not going to be here forever, and most of what I know was never written anywhere. So I sat down and I wrote it, all of it. 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. The ones about the connections that keep a person alive. The ones about building a life that is warm to the very end. The ones I have never said on camera. It is called The Native Way, and it costs less than 1 dinner you will not remember. Scan the code on your screen or look in the comments. But do not leave yet, because what I am about to tell you next is why friendship at your age is worth more than it ever was, and why the friends you still have are more valuable than they know. Here is why friendship after 60 is worth more than friendship at any other age. Because it is finally pure. Think about what friendship was earlier in your life. At 20, friends were adventure and identity. At 30 and 40, friendships came braided with usefulness. The friend from work who could help your career. The couple you saw because your children played together. The neighbor you stayed close with because you shared a fence. There was love in those friendships. Real love, some of them. But there was also function. The friendship served something, and you could never quite separate how much was the person and how much was the function. After 60, the functions are gone. Nobody can advance your career. The children are grown. There is nothing left to network for, nothing to gain, no ladder anyone can help you climb. So the person who chooses to sit with you now is there for exactly one reason. You. Your company. Your voice. Your presence in the chair across from them. That is the whole transaction. And that purity, that complete absence of any angle, makes friendship after 60 the most honest relationship you will ever experience. When a friend calls you at 70, that call has no motive behind it except the desire to hear you. Do you understand how rare that is? How valuable that is? You spent your whole life surrounded by people whose reasons for being near you were mixed. And now, at the end, the mixture is gone, and what remains is the real thing. Friendship after 60 is friendship with all the impurities burned away. It is the gold at the bottom of the pan. And most people are so busy mourning the gravel that washed away that they don't notice they are finally holding gold. I want you to do something with the friends you still have, the 2 or 3 or 4 who remain. I want you to stop treating them like they will always be there, because you are treating them that way. You are letting weeks pass. You are keeping conversations on the surface. You are assuming there is time. And I have stood at too many funerals where a person my age stared at a casket and said the same words. I kept meaning to call him. I kept meaning to visit. I thought there was time. There is not time. There is only now. And the friend you have now, the one who has known you for 30 or 40 or 50 years, is carrying something no one else on this earth carries. They carry the memory of who you were. They knew you before the losses, before the gray, before the aches. They remember your strength when you were strong, and they can testify to it when you forget. When you sit with an old friend, you are not just sitting with a person. You are sitting with a witness to your whole life. And every witness you lose takes a piece of your story into the ground with them. Whole chapters of your life that only they remembered, gone, unrecoverable. So treasure the witnesses. Call them for no reason. Tell them what they mean to you while their ears still work and their heart can still receive it. Do not save your eulogy for the funeral. Deliver it across a kitchen table to a living face while the words can still land. A eulogy delivered to the living is called gratitude, and gratitude, spoken out loud between 2 old friends, is one of the most powerful medicines either of them will ever take. Now let me tell you about the friends you have already lost. Not to conflict, to drift, because this is where most of you are carrying quiet grief. There are people who were once at the center of your life who are now names you think about at odd hours. The friend from the old job, the couple from the old neighborhood, the man you fished with, the woman you raised babies alongside. You didn't fight with them. Nothing happened. Life just moved you to different waters and the contact thinned and then stopped. And you think about them. You do. At night, when a song plays, when you drive past somewhere, you think, I should call. And then a voice says, it has been too long. It would be strange now. Too much time has passed. They have probably moved on. And you put the thought away. And another year passes. And the voice gets more convincing. Too long. Too strange. Too late. I'm here to tell you that the voice is lying. I have watched this play out too many times to let you believe it. When an old friend calls after 10 years of silence, do you know what the person on the other end feels? Not strangeness, joy. Almost every single time, joy. Because they have been having the same thought about you. They have been hearing the same lying voice telling them it is too late. Both of you, sitting in separate houses, thinking about each other, both convinced the other has moved on. 2 people separated not by any real wall, but by a shared illusion of one. Somebody has to test the wall. Somebody has to be the one who picks up the phone and says, I know it has been years and I have no excuse, but you crossed my mind today and I realized I miss you. That sentence takes 15 seconds to say, and I have seen it restore friendships that went on to be the greatest comfort of both people's final decades. The friendship was not dead. It was dormant, like a seed that sat in dry ground for 10 years and only needed one rain. Be the rain. this week. You know exactly which name came into your mind while I was saying this? That name. That is the one. Call them. And now I need to talk to the people who are thinking, I hear you, but my old friends are gone, past, moved, truly lost. And making new friends at my age feels impossible. I want to be honest with you the way an elder should be. Making friends after 60 is harder. I will not pretend otherwise. There is no job throwing you together with the same faces every day. Everyone's habits are set. Everyone's circles feel closed. But harder does not mean impossible. It means the method has to change. When you were young, friendship happened to you. Now, friendship has to be planted deliberately. And the planting is simpler than you fear. Friendship grows from one thing: repetition plus small honesty. That is the whole recipe. You do not need charm. You do not need to be interesting. You need to show up at the same place, at the same time, regularly, where other humans also show up. The walking group, the coffee shop at the same hour, the volunteer morning, the church hall, the garden club, anywhere with repetition. Because repetition does what charm cannot. It makes you familiar, and familiarity is the soil friendship grows in. The people who seem to make friends easily are not more charming than you. They are more repetitive than you. They keep showing up until the strangers become regulars, and the regulars become familiar, and one day someone says, "We missed you Tuesday." And there it is, the first root, and then the small honesty. Because repetition alone makes acquaintances, not friends. The line is crossed with one small, true thing. Not your whole story, not your grief poured out on a stranger. One small, true thing. My wife passed 2 years ago, and Tuesdays are the hardest day, so I come here. That sentence, offered quietly at the right moment, does something that 100 pleasant conversations about weather cannot do. It opens a door. And people, especially people your age, are desperate for open doors. They are all standing in the same hallway of polite weather talk, every one of them lonely, every one of them waiting for somebody to be first. Be first. One small, true thing. And watch what comes back. Because the person you say it to has been carrying their own sentence, waiting years for a safe place to set it down. You will not just make a friend. You will free 2 people on the same day. I watched a woman do this at a community garden. She was new, widowed, 71, and for 3 weeks she came and worked her small plot and said nothing beyond good morning. Polite, invisible, the way lonely people learn to be. And then one morning, an older man 2 plots over was struggling with his tomato stakes, and she helped him. And as they worked, he said something about his late wife loving tomatoes, and the woman paused, and I watched her decide. I watched her weigh the safe silence against the small honesty, and she said, "I lost my husband in the spring. This garden is the only reason I get dressed some mornings." 11 words, maybe, and the man stopped working, and he looked at her, really looked, and he said, "Then we better make sure this garden is worth getting dressed for." And that was it. That was the whole beginning. Within a season, there were 4 of them, then 6. A little tribe of people who had all been standing alone in the same hallway, all waiting for someone to be first. They eat together now, once a week. They drove one member to her treatments last winter, taking turns, a schedule on someone's refrigerator. 6 people who would have spent their final years as strangers, dimming alone in 6 separate houses, now burning together in one pile. And the entire thing, the meals, the rides, the laughter, the years of warmth still ahead of them, All of it grew from 11 honest words spoken over a tomato plant. That is the size of the door. 11 words. The loneliness that has been building for years can be answered by a sentence that takes 10 seconds. You do not need to rebuild your whole life. You need to say one true thing to one repeated face. The fire does the rest. It always has. My grandfather kept the same 3 friends for over 50 years. And I asked him once, near the end, what the secret was. 50 years, through deaths and hardships and disagreements and all the seasons that break most friendships apart. And he said something so simple I almost missed the size of it. He said, "We never let too much time pass." That was the whole secret. Not deep compatibility, not never fighting. They fought. Not perfect understanding. They misunderstood each other plenty. The secret was maintenance. When too many weeks had gone by, one of them always reached out. It did not matter who. They took turns without keeping track. Someone always broke the silence before the silence could set. Because my grandfather knew what I am telling you now. Silence, left alone, hardens, like concrete. Reach into it while it is soft, even with the smallest gesture, a call, a visit, a joke, and it stays soft forever. Let it sit untouched, and one day you cannot break through it anymore. 50 years of friendship, built out of nothing but the discipline of never letting the concrete dry. That discipline is available to you, today. It costs one phone call. And the return on that phone call, in warmth, in health, in years added to your life and life added to your years, is greater than any investment you have ever made. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there, The Native Way, 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments. Read one chapter. Sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, who is the old friend that came into your mind while you were listening? Call them this week. Then come back and tell me what happened. I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.